Hi everyone. Today we are going to continue with talking about college essays, and specifically we're talking about the big one, which is the Why Us or Why X college essay. And this one is a tricky one. It's a really hot topic, and that's why we're going to get into it. So first off, for starters, this is a major, huge clarification. What are they talking about here? What do they want for you? Because the question is, why us, in theory? So it makes it seem like it's centered around the college, and it makes it sound like they want you to talk about why you love that college so much and why this college is so cool, yada yada. And it kind of isn't that at all, surprisingly. So, in fact, the question is really about what it is that you want to do that the college can help you get there, that X college can help you achieve. So it's still about you, and they still want to know what are your interests, what are your career aspirations, what is your motivation in life, and goals. I think that's a lot of stuff. So it's very different than just talking about the college itself, because it's basically talking about what are things that you want to get out of life, and then what tools the college has that'll enable you to do that. Want to get out of life. So for example, this could be things like your career path, and it can also include like personal goals like travel and learning a new language. We got dance. What else? One more. And I don't know. I guess I'll put reading, publishing, maybe like authoring, reading/authoring. There you go. So these are all things that you can explore in your college career, and different colleges have different access to different tools for you to be able to do that. So that's kind of what we're going to get into, like how you can utilize all those wonderful things. So here are things to not talk about in the Why Us essay. If I can spell, and this includes the weather. We'll draw a lovely sun here because, you know, I'm good at drawing those in most of my couple of videos I've made. So you don't want to talk about the weather, mostly because that weather is a very regional thing, and it's not something that the school offers. So it's something that you could get out of just living in that area, but not necessarily attending the school. And so that's why you'd want to avoid that. If you do have like a personal connection with something like regionally specific, like mountains or Great Lakes, that's okay to segue into as like a one-liner at most. So one-liner means like a one sentence kind of nod or reference to another aspect of your life. So I think that's a good opportunity to go about that. Other good things that can be one-liners in your essay might have to do with alumni. So if you have relatives who went to the school or friends, you can name drop them in there just to show, like, you know, a one-liner reference or connection that you have to the school. And then another good one-liner might be high school related. So I had a, you know, one-liner for going to Duke where I was like, oh, I'm going from demons to devils, because my high school mascot was demon. So, but that was just like one line in the essay. Okay, anywho, that's a tangent from things to not talk about. These things, one-liners, are like, these are iffy. I would not write paragraphs about these, but you can briefly mention them. Okay, so we said no weather. What else do we not want to do? Prestige is a big, 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 big no-no. If you like just delete the word prestige, what else? World-renowned, famous, state-of-the-art. If my pen will write. Okay, famous, state-of-the-art. Let me think of one more. What else? What else is there? Elite. There we go. Any of these words, delete. The school already knows that, and honestly, in theory, this would be a good reason to want to go somewhere, but like in reality, it's not, because all of these words are more so based on popularity, I guess, as opposed to based on the actual quality of the program. Yes, a lot of the programs are popular because the quality of the program is really good, but you could just show what you know and show your knowledge of the actual school and the quality of the program by just talking about that and referencing like these are the things of the program that I would benefit from and that would help me and in my career or in personal endeavors. And that's a lot more informative than just saying state of the art. So again, it's like great to know in your head this school's really well known for this field, but you need to know why that's good for you and what aspects of the program at the school that you could actually make use of. For example, I was really into neuroscience at BME, and Duke has a bioelectricity program for undergrads, and I interviewed a lot of, well, not interviewed, but like on admitted day when I asked a lot of other schools that I got into, like, hey, do you do this? They were like, no, really, ever, hardly, never, right? So that was like a benefit of Duke's program that I saw how I could make use of it. So that's just something to think about. But also just like definitely delete these words because it shows that like you're not well researched on the school. Not well researched or informed. So we talked about a lot of things that you could briefly mention, that you could kind of mention. So what are the things that you actually want to talk about? What to talk about? For YS. And honestly, this one I have pretty much down to a specific structure or T. So or down to a T, specific structure, whatever. So you want your intro to be okay. So you want your YS to be almost organized in a chronological order: past, present, future. Where the future is gonna focus on the present and future are gonna kind of overlap with culture, yada yada. You'll see how it works as I outline it here. So your intro, you're gonna talk about a previous experience or motivation for previous experiences or motivations, or what is it called? The impetus for. Oh no, this is gonna test my spelling. Yeah. So you want to go into the impetus for like for your major and why you want to do that. For example, for some engineers, it might be Legos. For some CS people, it might be building a computer. For some doctor people, it might be parents are doctors, and that's totally fine. You kind of if I can spell, that's totally fine. You want to acknowledge this, and it's actually good to acknowledge in your intro, but your intro honestly should be like 1/5 to a quarter of the whole essay. It's a very small portion. Because you also have your personal statement. There should also be other essays that highlight a lot of like the past backgrounds of your interests. So here you want to like just a brief intro to explain like, oh, I was doing this with my grandfather and that's what made me interested in this major. However, you also want it to not only be the impetus for your major, but also the impetus for your future career. And I know a lot of people don't think about that. And I know that makes it very difficult. And if there's another strategy of how the YS works for you without thinking about your future career, go for it. This is just the way that I've been able to break it down to help people figure out how to market themselves to colleges, because once you mention like this is what I want to do with life, you basically, the goal of the YS essay is to get colleges to envision how they can help you, so that they can want to help, right? If they can see what it is that they're going to help you do, if they can see it, they'll help you do it, which is really awesome. So one way of doing that is talking about your future career. And I know I'm going to hate myself for doing that giant line. That's okay. It's a learning experience for all of us. I'm going to delete like all this extra time. Anyhow, so talk about your future career. Then when you move on from there, that's basically it. It could be, again, this could be clubs. Oh my gosh. Clubs, family, what else? School, like anything. But make it anecdotal. That's really important. We'll talk about strategies of incorporating anecdotes and essays another time. So we have that. Then this is kind of both your past and present, because some of the things that you do in school are happening right now. So that's that part of the essay. Sorry for the pen lagging. That's what really makes this frustrating. Like I have fun and then I don't because it lags. All right. So you have your past and you have your present. That's awesome. So the future should be the rest of the 4/5 or 3/4 of the essay. And then the rest of the essay you want to talk about basically, okay, so when you talk about your future career, like that should be like one of the last sentences in the intro. So then the rest of the essay markets, like specifically markets aspects of the school, of the school that relate to, what was it? Oh, right. Your future career and personal goals, which we didn't talk about here, but that would also have to be somewhere in your intro or implied elsewhere in your essay, which is also okay. Could be elsewhere in an essay. So let's take a random example. So basically, if you're going to talk about clubs at the school, which you can find on website. Let me change the color. This is getting boring, right? Yeah. Too much blue. Clubs. You want it to be specific to that or that. Classes. Typically future careers or personal goals. So let's say our personal goal is travel. Let's say our future career is engineer, which is super vague, actually. So we should actually specify that a little bit more. I'll just throw in the word robotics. So if we want to do clubs, we'll only pick robotics clubs or 3D printing clubs. Anything is closely related to robotics engineers. For classes, we could pick either foreign language or robotics classes. For research, probably AI professors would be good ones to look into. And let's look for professors who do like the specific things in robotics that you find most enjoyable. And then after that, what else do schools have? We have clubs. They have living learning communities. This one can be a little bit broader. Communities and plus societies. So you might want to be in a community with just other engineers in general to help career build. That would be awesome. Again, let's not forget our personal goals of travel are still really important. So maybe just study abroad is the thing that you want to partake in. And do you see how this makes it so much more cohesive than just listing a bunch of CS classes or just listing a bunch of engineering courses without any sort of direction? So this intro, even though short, is going to be really important because it's going to drive, if any of you are in chemistry and things like that, it's the driving force for the rest of your essay. Of the Y essay, because then this all makes sense to us because you already explained what it is that you wanted to do in your future. And because it makes sense to us, it makes sense to the college. Oh yeah, it makes sense for them to go here because we have all of these things that the student could utilize. And that's basically the most effective way that I found to put together the YS essay. And I know it's super messy. It ended up being way longer than I wanted it to be, but I'll probably cut it down. And there will probably be a part 2 elaborating on where you can find this information, which is really fun, I think. But yeah, I think this is a great start. So let's recap this because this is a mess right now. We're gonna have an intro that references what do you want to do, and then the rest of the essay is relevant things, relevant things college has so that you can do that. So that when colleges read it, can I draw eyeglasses? When reading, they're like, hell yeah, we want them to do that. And again, that is whatever you say you wanted to do in your intro, right? And how are we going to believe you? You can't just say, I want to be a software engineer. Why? Why do you want to be? So don't forget the what and why you want to do. So you want to be a software engineer because your grandpa's a software engineer and you spent a lot of time with him, or because you really enjoyed your software engineering class in 8th grade, or because you really like your robotics team in high school, right? You just want that story to be entirely put together so we're not left with any questions of like, okay, but why? We do not want to be left with questions. We want everything to make sense, because if everything makes sense, they're going to be like, oh yeah, we want them to do that. So it needs to make sense. And that's all I really got for you. I hope that makes the Why Us essay a little bit easier to tackle and a little bit more enjoyable for you guys to write, because you kind of have a lot more of a direction to go in, and it should be really fun to put those together and discover the different things that colleges offer that you could potentially do if you attended there. And yeah, hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you guys next time.